Today I am going to show you how to perfectly maintain your first car, every fluid, every filter, every check in the right order so that car is safe, reliable, and ready for the road, whether you are the new driver or the parent handing over the keys. And I want to say something to the parents and guardians watching before we start, because this video is really for you as much as the kid. A first car has one job above all others. It has to be boring. It has to start every morning, stop every time, and never once become the reason your new driver is stranded somewhere at night. And if you have not bought the car yet, let me give you the shopping shape in 30 seconds. A small SUV or a plain sedan with good crash test ratings, cheap to insure, under 150,000 miles, because past that point things start wearing out faster, and from a brand with a boring, reliable reputation. Not fast, not flashy, not German. The insurance quote alone will steer you right, because the insurance companies have already done the math on which cars new drivers survive in. Every step I am about to walk through serves that one goal. And here is my method, learned from 50 years of shop checklists. Write the list down. All of it, every item in this video, on one sheet of paper, and work through it, checking boxes, because the maintenance you forget is the maintenance that strands somebody. When you are done, tape that list inside the glove box with the date on it so the next person, or future you, knows exactly what was done and when. All right, let's go through the whole list, top to bottom. Step 1. Before you touch a single wrench, scan the computer. A cheap plug-in scanner and a phone app will read every computer in the car, not just the engine, but the airbags, the brakes, the body modules, all of it. Do the full system scan, because this is your map of the whole job. And do not just chase the big scary codes, chase all of them, including the little ones everybody ignores. On a typical used car, you will find exactly the kind of small stuff that matters for a new driver. A third brake light out, a license plate bulb dead, a backup camera acting up. Now, none of those keep the car from running, but think about what they actually are. The third brake light is the one that stops the distracted driver behind your kid from rear-ending them. The plate light is a free ticket and a traffic stop waiting to happen. So let's fix them, and let me show you how simple diagnosis works, because this is the skill I most want a young driver to learn. Brake light not working? Unplug its connector, put a multimeter on the pins, have somebody press the brake pedal, 12 volts showing? Then power is arriving, and the bulb is the corpse, replace the bulb, done. No voltage, now you hunt the fuse and wiring instead. Test, then fix, never guess. And while you are doing bulbs, spend the extra $2 on LED bulbs for the plate lights. Brighter, whiter, and they will outlive the car. And here is a money lesson hiding in the backup camera. Say the camera is bad and its mounting bracket is missing, and the only way the dealer sells that bracket is as part of a whole expensive trim assembly. Before you swallow that price, call the junkyard. A camera and bracket pulled from a wrecked example of the same model can cost 1/10 of the dealer part, and it is the exact factory piece. The junkyard is a first car owner's best friend, and knowing that is worth hundreds of dollars a year. When everything is fixed, scan again and watch the codes clear. A clean scan is the foundation the rest of this list builds on. Step 2. The fluids, and this is the heart of the whole job. Get the car up safely first. Ramps or jack stands on solid ground, always jack stands, never ever just a jack, and give the car a good hard shake before you crawl under. It should not budge. Now, oil first. Drain plug out, let it all drain, plug back in snug, not gorilla tight, 15 foot-pounds is plenty. New filter, and 2 habits to go with it. Smear a film of fresh oil on the filter gasket so it seals right and comes off easy next time, and tighten the filter by hand only, never with a wrench going on. Fill with the exact oil the cap and manual call for, and if that engine has a turbocharger, and a lot of these newer small engines do, quality oil is not a suggestion, it is life support, because the turbo spins at incredible speeds and cooks cheap oil into sludge. Run the engine a minute, shut it off, wait, and check the dipstick properly. Wipe, reinsert, read. Teach the new driver that dipstick ritual, because it is a once-a-month habit for the rest of their driving life. Next, the transmission. And do not let the words sealed transmission scare you off. Sealed just means no dipstick, the fluid still ages, and it still needs changing. 2 rules here. First, before you drain 1 drop, always crack open the fill plug first. I mean always. Because if you drain it and then discover the fill plug is seized, you now own a car with an empty transmission and no way to fill it, and that is a very bad afternoon. Second, use the exact fluid specified. Transmissions are pickier about fluid than any other part of the car. Drain it, and do not be surprised when what comes out is black instead of red. That is exactly why you are doing this. Refill roughly what came out, then get the transmission to operating temperature. Foot hard on the brake, run the shifter through reverse, neutral, drive, every gear, a few seconds each, so fresh fluid reaches every passage. Then check the level at the level plug with the engine running. Let the little excess dribble out, button it up. That is a drain and fill, the gentle, correct service, and it is maybe an hour of careful work that saves the single most expensive component on the car. Then the coolant. Only ever open a cooling system stone cold, because a hot system is pressurized and will spray scalding coolant at you. Open the reservoir cap up top so air can get in. Then find the little drain valve at the bottom corner of the radiator, run a hose on it so it is not a mess, and drain it down. And here is a tip most folks have never seen. Coolant can look perfectly fine and still be bad, so spend a few dollars on coolant test strips. Dip 1, and it tells you 2 things: the mix, which should be around 50-50, and the acidity. Old coolant turns acidic, and acidic coolant slowly eats your radiator, your heater core, and your water pump from the inside. If the strip shows acid, you are changing it just in time. Refill with the exact type specified for your car, and hear me on this, never mix coolant types. The different chemistries can react and gel, and a gelled cooling system is a disaster. Fill slowly and get the air out, ideally with one of those spill-free funnels that sits up high and lets the bubbles burp out as the engine warms. When the heater blows properly hot inside, the air is out. Close it up. That is the big 3 fluids done, and honestly, most of the reliability battle won. Step 3. Spark plugs and filters, the breathing and the fire. Pull the engine cover, unbolt the ignition coils, and before you unscrew a single plug, vacuum out the spark plug wells, because any grit sitting down there falls straight into the cylinder when the plug comes out. Old plugs out, and read them. A light tan tip means a healthy engine. New plugs, exact spec only, and even though they come pre-gapped, check the gap anyway, because I have seen brand new plugs arrive way out of spec, and a wrong gap means misfires and wasted gas. Dab of dielectric grease on the ceramic, thread them in by hand so you cannot cross-thread, then torque them gently to spec. They only need around 9 foot-pounds, and snapping a plug off in an aluminum head is a mistake you only make once. Coils back on until they click, and done. That is a 100,000-mile job finished for $40. Then the engine air filter. 4 screws on the airbox, and if it is the original filter, it will look like a doormat. Swap it, your engine and your gas mileage both say thank you. And the filter everybody forgets, the cabin air filter, usually behind the glove box. Squeeze the glove box sides, drop it down, slide the old filter out, and prepare yourself, because a neglected cabin filter is a mat of mold, pollen, and leaves, and it is the source of that musty smell, and your new driver is breathing through it every day. $15, 2 minutes, arrow pointing the right direction for airflow, and the car smells and breathes like new. Step 4. The battery, and this one is free. Any parts store will test a battery at no charge, or a cheap tester does it at home, and it tells you the battery's actual health, not just whether it starts today. For a first car, if that battery tests weak, replace it before winter does it for you, because a stranded new driver in a dark parking lot is exactly the phone call we are doing all this to prevent. Clean the terminals while you are there, and make sure the hold-down bracket is snug. A loose battery bouncing around in a crash is a hazard all its own. Step 5. Brakes. And I will not compromise here, because everything else on this list is about the car running, and this is about the car stopping. If the pads are thin or the rotors are grooved, do a proper brake job, and proper means the details. Old rotors are usually rusted to the hub, so do not be shy. A few good whacks with a hammer on the rotor face breaks them free. That is normal, and it hurts nothing that is being replaced anyway. Wire brush the rust off the hub so the new rotor sits dead flat, because a rotor sitting on a bed of rust scale wobbles as it spins, and that wobble becomes a pulsing brake pedal in a month. Clean the factory grease off new rotors with brake cleaner. It is packing protection, not lubrication, and it will contaminate your new pads if you leave it. To make room for the thicker new pads, the caliper piston has to be pushed back in, and a cheap brake piston tool makes that a 30-second job instead of a wrestling match. And note that plenty of rear calipers need the piston turned as it is pressed, which that same tool handles. Thin smear of anti-seize on the pad ears so they do not squeal. Silicone paste on the caliper guide pins so the caliper floats free. And check that those pins slide smoothly in and out, because a sticky pin means a dragging brake, uneven wear, and a hot wheel. Thread locker on the bracket bolts, and everything torqued to spec. And then the step 90% of people skip: flush the brake fluid. Brake fluid absorbs water out of the air, year after year, and wet fluid does two evil things. It rusts your brake lines from the inside, and it boils under hard braking, and boiling fluid means the pedal goes soft exactly when somebody is standing on it in a panic stop. Bleed each corner, furthest from the master cylinder first, until the fluid runs clear and bubble-free, keeping the reservoir topped the whole time. Old fluid comes out the color of coffee, new goes in the color of honey, and the difference is a firm, reliable pedal for years. Step 6. The quick stuff that matters more than it seems. New wiper blades, because a first driver caught in their first real downpour needs perfect vision, and spend up for the good silicone ones. They last far longer. Top off the washer fluid. Check every light on the car with a helper: headlights, brights, turn signals, brakes, reverse. 5 minutes, total confidence. Step 7. Tires, and start with the one everybody on earth forgets: the spare. Put a gauge on that spare tire, because I promise you it is low. Spares sit for a decade, and I have seen them holding 6 psi, which is a flat tire cosplaying as a backup plan. Inflate it to the pressure on its sidewall, and while you are back there, make sure the jack and the lug wrench are actually in the car, and that the new driver knows where they live, because a spare with no wrench is a decoration. Then the 4 on the ground. Check the date code, the 4 digits after the letters DOT, week and year it was made, and tires over 6 years old are aging out no matter how the tread looks. Past 10, they are done. Period. Check tread depth with the quarter trick. Washington's head upside down in the groove. If you can see the top of his head, the tire is nearly done. And read the wear pattern. Even wear across the middle is healthy. Wear on the edges or one side means alignment or inflation problems that need sorting. Grip is the cheapest life insurance on the whole vehicle. Step 8, and almost nobody does this one, check for recalls. There is a free government website, plug in the VIN, and it lists every open recall on that exact car. On a typical 10-year-old vehicle, you will find something real: door latches, shifter bushings, airbag hardware, genuine safety defects, and every bit of recall work is done free at the dealership, parts and labor, no matter how old the car is or how many owners it has had. Free safety repairs are sitting unclaimed on millions of cars. 10 minutes and a phone call, and yours are not among them. And step 9, my one modern indulgence: put a dash camera in it. For a new driver, it is cheap insurance and an honest witness. If there is ever an accident, the camera settles who did what in 30 seconds. Get it hardwired properly instead of dangling a cord to the cigarette lighter. The hardwire kits come with a fuse tap, and the idea is simple. You find a fuse in the fuse box that only has power when the ignition is on. Checking with your multimeter, tap into that circuit, ground the black wire to bare metal, and now the camera turns on with the car and off with the car, with every wire hidden behind the trim. Tuck it up behind the mirror out of the sight line, and forget it is there until the day it earns its keep. And a bonus step before we close the hood for good, because this one solves a mystery on a lot of used cars. If the temperature gauge runs a touch above where it should, take a flashlight and look through the front bumper at the radiator and the condenser stack. On a 10-year-old car, those fins are usually packed with a decade of leaves, bugs, road fuzz, and I have found entire birds in there. All that debris blocks the airflow that keeps the engine and the air conditioning cool. The fix is gentle, and gentle is the key word. Never a pressure washer, which folds the delicate fins flat and ruins the very thing you are trying to save. Just a garden hose, low pressure, flushing each row of fins until the crud washes out. 20 minutes, and the car runs cooler, the air conditioning blows colder, and one more future breakdown just got canceled. So look at what you have when the checklist is done. Clean scan, fresh oil, fresh transmission fluid, fresh coolant, new plugs and filters, tested battery, new brakes and fluid, new wipers, verified lights, healthy tires, an inflated spare, a clean radiator, recalls closed, and a camera riding shotgun. That car is now more reliable than half the vehicles on the road at any price, and here is the beautiful part: the whole list, done at home, costs a few $100s in parts and fluids, where the same work on a shop's invoice would run well over $1,000. And everything on that list was hand tools and one careful weekend. And the new driver got something bigger than a car. They got a working knowledge of the machine, because the kid who helped bleed the brakes is the adult who never gets fleeced at a service counter. That was always the real inheritance. Down in the comments, tell me about your first car, what it was, what it cost, and the one thing it taught you. And if you are prepping a first car for somebody right now, tell me what is on your checklist that I missed, because I read every single one. And if this helped, tap the like button and subscribe. There is plenty more where this came from. Until then, test before you guess, fluids before everything, and check that spare tire tonight. Don't let them sell you a repair you don't need. I'll see you in the next one.